Hey, this is Daniel Garrison. This is my 7.2 workshop mentor response shared with my mentor Dennis Boone for about an hour this morning, and I gave him a quick synopsis of Noen's book, our textbook, and told him how he was a priest who left teaching after 20 years to go to Notre Dame. From Notre Dame, Yale, and Harvard, and moved to this house where he'd be teaching the mentally handicapped, and how that affected his life, and how it affected his how he felt about leadership. And we had a good talk about leadership, and especially servant leadership. And he talked about how important it is to really get out with the people, your congregation or the people in the community, to share, your life and your ministry, and how that becomes servant leadership. He talked about he's a police chaplain there in Burlington, and there was a murder just this past Saturday night, and he went and spent some time with the family, and these are things that you would not ordinarily see, and it stretches you, and it stretches him beyond the norm anytime that we can get out in our ministry and do things like that. And he gave a quote that he wasn't sure who said it. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we talked about that for a little while. We talked about these different celebrity pastors, these popular pastors, or even these pastors that serve in these bigger churches where, they, pay people to do all the work in the church, and they kind of get away from that servanthood, and not that that's a terrible thing, but we definitely feel like that's something that you lose, especially when you get away from pastoring a small church, or a church where you have to get out there and cut the grass, and do work around the church, and plumbing, carpentry work, whatever it takes. Talked about servant evangelism, where they've given out water bottles, and we did a lot of this when we were at Burlington. They give out water bottles with the name of the church, or just saying, we love you, and we're telling people who they are, and getting out and just meeting the people in the neighborhood. We did a lot of that while I was there. We would do neighborhood cookouts, where we would go into different members of the church neighborhood and do cookouts, just so we could introduce ourselves and get to know the people in the neighborhood. And let's see, he talked about how he had went to a church, and it was a pretty good sized church, and he was going to speak, and he sat in a room with the pastor while all the regular preliminary worship was going on, and they just kind of sat in there, and somebody brought a tray with drinks and fruit and food, and then he didn't come out until right before it was time to speak, and he just thought that he had lost a lot in that experience, and really enjoys participating in the whole worship service, and being a part of everything that's going on in the church, and I do too. We talked about that for a little while. Let's see, there's people that are hurting, that we need to get out, and we need to serve those people. Get out in the neighborhoods. We talked about how pastors used to get out and visit the congregation, and that's not as popular anymore. A lot of times people really would rather you not come and visit. We visit shut-ins, and we go visit people that are sick in the hospital, but a lot of times when it comes to visiting in the homes, those type of things are not as popular as they used to be. I think that's just about it. We just we kind of I give them a quick synopsis of the book, and talked about how Nolan, I guess is how you say his name. How he reacted to all the changes that was taking place in his ministry when he went into this home with the mentally handicapped, and I can imagine how that would really change how you feel, especially somebody coming out of teaching for 20 years at Notre Dame, Yale, and Harvard. I can imagine how that would really kind of break down those pride issues and those things that would hinder you in the situation that he ended up in. But I think that's about it. Thanks so much. God bless.